Hello, this is Shejachalam from Astrogate Mysore. So there was a long gap for all these days that I was not able to post videos. I still have that cough. So you might have understood now that we all have gone through that flu-like infection. We have come back, but still have been restricted not to speak much because of the cough. So always will be with the hot water, which is good for everybody. So, okay. So let me now go ahead and give you a video on remedial measures for Mars. This is scientific remedial measures, not the traditional one. The traditional remedial measures also will be discussed in the way it can be scientifically modified, you know, because when people were writing, Vedas 5,000, 6,000 years back, when it was actually formulated and given to the society by Vyasa Mahamuni, then certain things were associated with Mars, which were used in rituals, which is actually what has to be used in the medicine also. But anyway, I will be doing that, and I'll be, comprehensively giving you a huge list of remedial measures on a house-wise basis today. Let me go through the list of, just scan through what actually Mars does. And if remedial measure is usually required, let me first come to this point. Remedial measure is required only when a planet is weak. Why do you need a remedy when a planet is strong and well posited? So this is only for those where Mars is weak, Mars is in a negative placement, Mars is afflicted by malefics, Mars is hemmed between planets, Mars is combust. So please understand, when it is weak. So the first house, I'm just giving you some, a list of basics. My wife has done this beautiful job of listing it down. So it has become an easy job for me that she is helping me so much. So the first house is for the face. So hence, Mars weak in the face gives acne, boils on the head, scar, rough and dry face. We call this rugged face, the look of a rugged, hard, rough look. You can imagine the Machete Man. You can go to that movie Machete Man. You can see his face, rough and hard and masculine face. So that sort of that's all because of the Mars and the Martian feature, that is. So the remedial measure for that is due to too much of toxics and oil, and also due to bad maintenance. What happens is skin becomes oily, rough, and hence the skin eruptions happen. When skin eruptions happen, the best and the topmost remedy is fruit diet, fruit juice diet, lot of hydration, lot of drinking of good water. Please avoid cold water directly from the refrigerator, which is extremely dangerous for a weak Mars in a chart, because immediately it will cause constipation. So avoid cold water, go in for warm water or hot water. As I told you, I am drinking it because it soothes my vocal cords. Fruit facial massages. Anyway, who doesn't like a fruit facial massage? It's beautiful, very relaxing. Even is the cucumber and radish, white radish. Both of these are considered the best food eaten raw for a weak Mars, because it cools down your, the intestine, and the intestine will tell thank you to you. So that's one thing. Next, The second house is for aggressive talking, anger management, short temper, eating a lot of spicy and oily junky food, you know, street foods especially, which may lead to the stomach ulcers, esophageal ulcers, GERD. GERD is that gastric trouble which is in the esophagus, which gives you that that gas comes back along with a very bad sour taste into your mouth. That's GERD. Very bad to go through that. So mouth ulcers, stomach ulcers, and bad intestine. Along with this, Mars also gives hard and rough speech. Here it is not communication, it is speech, vaksthana, voice. So the vocal cords will be rough and the voice will be more rough and sounds very loud. And with this, the remedial practice is required. Once again, to cool down a person, he needs to go through meditation. On a overall, for a weak Mars, yoga and meditation, pranayama should be the way of life. This is how a person has to live when a weak Mars is there in the Lagna or any other place in the chart. Why yoga? Why does the person has to pacify himself and become normal? Is because unnecessarily this person gets frustrated very soon. He can't control his emotions. To control emotions, yoga therapy is the number one therapy, and everybody knows it nowadays. It has evolved from India, and we are proud to say that it is now worldwide practiced everywhere. Buttermilk, turmeric based medications like kashaya, that is concoctions or decoctions made using turmeric powder, milk, they boil it and then they make some kashayas. This is good for the body when Mars is in the second house, because second house is also the face. First house is the crown and also the face, but second house usually is more the face. So the face gets cleaned up, that toxicity is gone because of the turmeric which is used. And then these people also should do meditation, because the second house is the expression of a person. So when Mars is weak in the second house, a person's expression will be a frustrated, a cynicist or a pessimistic expression. So that expression will go away. You will have a calm, easygoing, happy face. So let's go to the third house. The third house, rough and heated arguments, rude talking, loose talks. Why? It's the house of communication. It's also the house of Parakramastana, the house of shoulder strength. So if you have a weak Mars, this person will first hit something, break something, throw something. So that's how he shows off his anger. So if anger management has to be done, once again, this person has to go through counseling. This is the best remedial measure for a third house weak Mars is counseling, because unnecessarily these people will lose ties with brothers or people who are equivalent to brothers or sisters, siblings of the same age. So that is why Mars weak in the third house is Karako Bhavanashaya. It spoils or kills the significations of the Bhava. That is, they will not have brothers, or they will be far away from their brothers. As good as the Bhava being Nasha. Nasha means spoiled. So unnecessary arguments and because Mars is a planet of logic, and when the logic fails, a person will try to argue unnecessarily. It's a waste of time. So and it becomes illogical speech and actions also. So training and communication and behavioral modifications, transformation is required. Actually, a mentor is required who can sit and try to train this person, the native who has a weak third house Mars. This will, in a long run, will help a lot in actually rectifying the person's behavior. So, yoga is required once again because third house is also for the activity and circulation, the blood circulation. So, Mars in the third house might give problems like thyroid. Weak Mars in the third house can give thyroid problems like the hypothyroidism or the myxedema. So, or even it can give, tennis elbows. You have this frozen shoulders, for particularly for sportsmen, because third house also represents sports and activity. So, let's go to the fourth house. Bad relationship at home, bad temperament, rash driving, because it's vehicle, the vahana sthana, arguments with mother, you know, dissent. There is a lot of arguments with mother, and they don't agree with each other. And also, the weak fourth house Mars indicates that there is ill health to mother. Precautionary measures have to be taken early in life when when a native is born and you have a fourth house. You see that there is fourth house weak Mars. So that means it's an indication to the mother herself that the future there might be some ill health which might trouble her, because it's an indication in the child's chart. So, precautionary measure, if taken early, can lessen the effects, but it's usually seen that people, they don't take too much of they don't take too much of botheration, and then they go through the problem and then come to the astrologer. So fourth house is also for construction of building and houses, one house. So the native may experience a lot of hurdles in house building. When the fourth house has a weak Mars, a person should be careful with regard to insurance, with regard to the staff in his office, or with regard to the masons or any other people who are working, like carpenters or painters who are working in his site, because there is a chance that there might, somebody might fall down, break his leg or bone, and you will have to pay for it from through your nose. So that's again a caution which can be used as a remedial measure. That means, people keep doing this. When scaffolding is used for painting, they will not use the safety measures because it is costly once again to buy all that or to rent it out. So please do not try to save 5 pennies and lose the dollar. So be careful. Be penny wise. Or what we call as or I don't know. I forgot that particular sentence. It's something wise and then foolish. I forgot that. But anyway, that's the sentence which I actually want to be said. Anybody know the sentence? Please put it in the comment. So okay. Fifth house, we all know, is for progeny. Why particularly progeny? Because this is Mars, weak Mars. Weak Mars in the fifth house causes sarpadosha along with a particular position of Rahu. So, excessive bleeding, abortions, not able to conceive, and going through a lot of medical problems. All these things are there in the fifth house. Difficulty to hold the baby in the womb. The womb itself is constructed small. Extramarital affairs, unnecessary romances, eloping, running away. Wasteful relationships. All these things comes in the fifth house when there is a weak Mars. So remedial measure, once again, for the first half only remedial measure is there. For romance and all those things, we can't give you remedial measures because it's the feeling, it's the heart, it's the emotion. It falls. We always keep telling, we fall in love. Fall, that means blind. You fall in love. So, but we can't give you remedial measures for that particular thing. Let's go for understanding how to control abortions. So, if we know that we have a fifth house Mars which is weak, then we will take extra care. So, people who have a weak or a malefically ridden Mars in the fifth house, please take extra care with regard to pregnancy. Do not unnecessarily, go through long journeys, go through unnecessary flights. You know, you should take all the precaution required. The doctors will give you the precautionary measures for weak pregnancy and also delicate pregnancy. What we have to we see. So that's one thing. Second thing is again when the Sarpadosha kind of a thing happens when Mars is weak in the fifth house, can lead to problems like ovarian problems like the egg, the fertility of the egg, which might be less. So infertility. The same thing might happen for the male also, who might have difficulty, yeah, and the sperm count might come down, or they might be faulty sperms because the semen is not having good fertility. So if you have a weak Mars, or you know that your child has a weak Mars, you should be able to give such a diet which actually gives the strength in the body, which actually can keep that particular person out of this type of medical trouble. So that is what is a remedial measure. Every remedial measure is not that you take a tablet from the counter and it goes away. No, we have to prepare ourselves. We know that this is going to affect after 4 years. We have to prepare it from today. We can't tell that remedial measures always have to be like just like that. It has to happen. It doesn't happen just like that. Yeah. So the sixth house. Legal problems may arise because of loans which might not be paid back on time, and becoming habitual debtor, or what we call as taking excess loan, crossing overdrafts. All these things might happen when Mars is in the sixth house. So the panic in not clearing competitive exams, or the inferiority complex in not clearing competitive exams also can happen when Mars is in the sixth house. So what should we do? Very simple. Don't take too much loan. Try to curb your instincts of unnecessarily making too much of a loan. Curb your expenses, curb your wasteful expenses when you have Mars weak in the sixth house. Also, competitive examinations, don't get panicked. If you want to really go through competitive examinations, focus, take that required training. Don't unnecessarily overdo things and then get tired and not be able to not be able to complete it on time. So that is a remedial measure for the sixth house. The seventh house, we all know it's for relationships, spouse, also superiority complex, and people fall into extramarital affairs, relationships, unnecessarily gets attracted to the opposite gender, problems in partnership, problems in relationships, so many things. So Mars in the seventh house, very clearly, when a weak Mars is there in the seventh house and an afflicted Mars is there in the seventh house, delay marriage. Do not fall into unnecessary relationships. This is the best advice which can be taken as a remedial measure. Keep yourself away from unnecessary relationships. This is one thing which is very important. And partnerships. Be very careful while signing business deals. See whom you are sitting with and whom you are going to join along with for partnership, because your tendency to argue, your tendency to not believe, and the trust issues are there. So when you have the weakness of Mars in the seventh house, then you should know that you should have a person who is having a strong Jupiter or a strong Saturn there, who can cool you down most of the time and bring you under control. So if the other way around also, vice versa is the same thing. If you have a strong Jupiter, then you can still have a good business relationship with a person who has a weak Mars in the seventh house. So eighth house, we know that eighth house represents many difficulties. One of the Deha Kashta Yoga problems happen when Mars goes weak in the eighth house, PCODs, menstrual disorders, excess pain, bleeding, irregular periods, unnecessary expectations, people who are having erectile dysfunctions in men, having prostate problems, a lot of problems like ulceritis and many problems of the colon, the rectum. So if when Mars is weak in the seventh or eighth house, along with planets like Rahu or Saturn, then the problem will increase. It will not decrease. It will increase. So good food habits, good healthy living like good sleep pattern and good food habits in the sense that sattvic food, because Mars when weak, the person will have very low digestive, very bad digestive system generally. I'm not telling always, because other planetary placements like Sun, if it is well placed, then it will give very good digestive system. But now we are talking only about a weak Mars, so we need to see that the person has good food habits and healthy living. So on the overall, yoga and pranayama is once again referred even for the eighth house problems. The ninth house, unhealthy relationships with father, fighting with elder people at home, elder brothers, again with the property disputes, doesn't believe in traditions, culture, excess of wasteful travel, wasteful expenses, not listening to anybody before investing. All these things happen if you have a waste, not waste, weak Mars in the ninth house. So again, the remedial measure here is to listen to elders. Very difficult to do that, but anyway, try to listen to them. Don't have to follow every word of them. Try to listen. So what we say now, that earlier days in India, the the saints were called home, and they would do pada puja. Pada puja is to worship them and then make them feel comfortable, give them the best of the best treatment for the day to get blessings from them. This is the tradition still available with Gurujis and big saints, which actually is happening in India and many other places also. It's not only in India. Even if you go to the culture of in the Christian community, the Pope is revered. Why do you revere the Pope then? When you only have to believe in Jesus, then why the Pope? Pope is revered because he is the one who can give us the path, the light, the way how to lead our life. So that's how, if you are able to give good respect and good, status to elders and help them, go out and help them. Mars weak in the ninth house will usually, get pacified. Particularly people talking unhealthy words, arguing with elders, Mars will curse. That is the curse of a weak Mars in the ninth house. Reverse it. Okay. 10th house, the most important 10th house Karakatva is profession, and people wanting to have sudden recognition and immediate, recognition, identity. So they get also once again frustrated very soon if they don't get to climb in their workplace. They can't sustain themselves or cool down. They want their promotions on time. So when a weak Mars is there, panic is more with regard to professional life. So once again, the only thing here can be done is counseling. They have to be counseled by the best psychologist as to how to lead their career path. Career counseling is not only just before joining a career. People have a very bad notion about this. Career counseling is a continuous process. Every year or every 6 months for people who go through panic, career counseling has to be done, or else they'll leave their job, come home, sit and once again make a huge mess about this. So Next thing is 11th house. 11th house is for friends, and when you have 11th house weak Mars, it goes into extramarital affairs, gambling. People want to make fast money, they don't want to understand how to make it. So easy money making, it becomes a tendency of the person who has a weak Mars. Addictions, gambling, loose morals, cheating, usurping others property. So what is required for this? A guru. A good guru is required who can show the path. This is right, this is wrong. So if you think that your child, your son, your daughter has 11th house weak Mars, introduce them to good moral teachings. Go with them. You don't have to send your daughter or a son to a guruji's place. Please don't do that, because we have seen many wrong things happening. So please don't unnecessarily believe everybody. So if you feel that yes, this person can actually give good guidance to my son or my daughter, then go with them, sit with them. You also spend some time there. See that slowly a good transformation happens. So service. So particularly people who are having a weak Mars in the 11th house, it is better they do social or community service. This is the best remedial measure for them. So the 12th house once again is for the senses, and loose morals in the 12th house. You know what will happen, because these people want weird expectations in the bed. Once again, very very dangerous it is. Because they don't have a good understanding about just a minute please. Yeah, they don't have good understanding about their own five senses. So trial and error, they come up with understanding that this is what my senses want. So they start satisfying their senses, and they get indulged into it. So once again, what is required? Good teaching. So you can understand where I am going from. From Mars, Mars can be controlled by Jupiter. Just understand, the balance of a weak Mars can be controlled by a stable Jupiter, not by Rahu. And also it can be done by an experienced Saturn, because Saturn knows how to control Mars. Though Mars keeps arguing and never listens to Saturn, Saturn will have the patience to continuously keep telling that yes, I am there, we can do this, it can happen. So on a general note, once again, for a weak Mars, a person has to follow strict living practices, good yoga, pranayama, breathing techniques, practice yoga very well, and then have a teacher or a mentor or a guru. So without a guru, a remedial measure for Mars is not complete. So thank you very much for today's class of Mars. So I hope I have taken, I think it's a very big, it's a long video. So people make use of this. Thank you.